Mercedes is having a big problem on their hands, not because their car is that bad, although it lost some of its speed it seems. No, it's because of its drivers. After a miserable Dutch GP, both spoke out about what went wrong for Mercedes, and they did not hold back. Will Mercedes be able to return to the front of the grid again this weekend? Or have they, just like Red Bull, made an upgrade mistake? Lewis Hamilton did not perform well in Dutch Grand Prix qualifying, as he was ousted in Q2 and received a 3-place grid penalty, forcing him to start the race from P14. However, Lewis completed numerous impressive overtakes throughout the race and ended in 8th place. Afterward, he stated that he might have ended much higher. "If I just qualified like I should have qualified, if I didn't have a problem, I think I had the pace today to definitely be in the top 5, Lewis said. "If I started 4th, I would have finished 4th. I was surprised when I drove through and saw the Ferraris in P3. We made a big setup change for FP3, but then it was wet, so we didn't get to test it. Today I took out a bunch of wing to balance it and it was fine." Mercedes finally chose a 2-stop plan, which Lewis admits was difficult to execute. After finishing 8th at Zandvoort, Hamilton attributed his bad performance to "partly me, partly the car," and questioned if the new floor Mercedes raced on for the first time last weekend was operating properly. "I think the car definitely didn't feel as strong as the last race for some reason. We need to look into that. Whether our upgrade is actually delivering or not, we have to wait and see." Meanwhile, Hamilton lamented the expense of his 3-place grid penalty for obstructing Sergio Perez, claiming that the grid drop denied him a podium finish. "I had a lot of fun today," the 7-time world champion said. "We planned to do a 2-stop, started on the soft. The soft tyre was a very good tyre. It felt much better than the medium tyre in practice. The hard tyre was pretty decent. It was difficult to see what I needed to do. I was on a 2-stopper, so I was trying to use up the tyre, but I wasn't sure whether we'd go for a 1-stop. Probably if I got onto the 1-stop and managed a little bit better, then I could have done a 1-stop and maybe finished 1 spot ahead. I look forward to next weekend because I had a S***T weekend this weekend," Hamilton concluded. "Would the outcome have been better without the penalty? Yes, definitely. If I just qualified like I should have qualified," Hamilton replied. "If I didn't have the problem in qualifying, then yes. I think I had the pace today to be in the top 5. If I started 4th, for example, I would have finished at least 4th. What do you think? Could Hamilton have fought for a podium if he started further up the grid? And what about his teammate? What went wrong for Russell? He started 4th, so why couldn't he drive to the podium?" George Russell claims he was left scratching his head after falling backwards in the Dutch Grand Prix. The Mercedes driver qualified 4th and had looked strong all weekend leading into Sunday's race, but he battled for pace and ended 7th, 1 position ahead of teammate Lewis Hamilton. Russell, 26, who was denied victory in the Belgian Grand Prix when his car was penalised for being underweight, expressed surprise at being so far behind. "We just had no pace," the Brit said. "I was just dropping like a stone, especially quite surprised versus Ferrari. We were expecting to be comfortably ahead of them, and Charles Leclerc was quicker. Carlos Sainz was catching me. Clearly, we got something wrong with the tyres. After the first couple of laps, I thought we were on course for a podium here. I knew the overtaking was going to be difficult. I was really shocked at how fast McLaren were. Lando Norris just looked so comfortable out there, super impressive to see. But we've had 6 really strong races, and then suddenly we've finished almost a minute behind the win today. So you don't lose all of that performance overnight. Yesterday we qualified 4th and clearly didn't get something right today. Honestly, right now I'm still scratching my head. It was very tough conditions, you know? This wind with the long corners. Right now I don't have the answers." Unfortunately, Mercedes had a dismal Dutch Grand Prix, with George Russell finishing 7th and Lewis Hamilton in 8th. Following the race, team leader Toto Wolff stated that the team will have to investigate what caused the decline in performance. "It was a totally off weekend. Very surprising," the Austrian said. "There is a lot we need to look at as you don't finish 1st and 2nd 3 weeks ago and then end up 7th and 8th. there is a lot of head scratching, looking at data, and hopefully respond at Monza. The car was not good enough today, Wolff stated. Toto Wolff, after a poor Dutch Grand Prix, believes Mercedes' swing in performance between P1, P2 at Spa and P7, P8 at Zandvoort is not something that was a straightforward setup choice. After 3 extremely good races, Mercedes returned from the summer break with a disappointing performance at the Dutch Grand Prix. Following the race, team leader Toto Wolff stated that the decline in performance cannot be explained by setup decisions or track circumstances, and that it must be something more. I think these cars are sometimes a surprise box, the Austrian explained. We had 6 podiums in a row, and that doesn't look like the car that 3 weeks ago was first and second, at least first on merit. You can't really end up with a result like this without any major factor playing in it. It's something we need to analyse in the next few days to Monza. Was it because we put something on the car that didn't help? Did we engineer something into the car that wasn't good? How do you justify these swings in performance that sometimes look really good this weekend and then today, that was tons of degradation? Not very impressive. Toto intimated that the problem may be related to the team's recent modifications, such as the new floor deployed in free practice sessions for the Belgian Grand Prix, but subsequently opted to remove it ahead of qualifying. I think it was 2 factors. We back-to-back the update kit on Friday, which was at the end, left us with not a lot of data. The update kit that we put onto the car in Spa on Friday and then took off again. And then obviously with the lack of running like everybody else, maybe we didn't decide the right things for the car. So there could be a few factors at play that contributed to this performance. However, the Austrian is hesitant to draw conclusions until the team has conducted a thorough examination. I don't want to jump to conclusions too quickly because we're going to look at it in the coming days and hopefully try to find clues in the data. Like I said before, was it the setup? Was it the track? What is it that we got wrong? Was it the floor that we put on the car? Was it all of this together? So hopefully we can sort it out until Monza and become competitive. But the swing in performance between P1, P2 and P7, P8, there's a biggie in there. It's not something that was a simple setup decision in my opinion, Wolff concluded. What's your take on what's happening at Mercedes? Is this something they can recover from quickly? Or have they, like Red Bull, brought upgrades that downgrade the car instead of making it better? And even if they were able to fix it again for this weekend, will any of the drivers be able to challenge for the win? At this point, the McLaren looks like a rocket ship, and Norris is in a way freed from the 0 wins and looks different ever since. So, will anybody even come close, let alone Hamilton or Russell? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.